Today's episode features one of my favorite attractions here in Perrysburg. It's the 577 Foundation. The 577's executive director, Heather Gallant, is on the show today to tell you what the 577 Foundation is, some history about the property, at least a dozen reasons to visit, a tip to help you register for classes, what's inside the curiosity shop, upcoming events, and so much more. Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast, episode 142. I'm your host, Perrysburg resident Kim Newlove. The Perrysburg Podcast is a resource for Perrysburg residents. We talk about what's in Perrysburg and why people like to live here. Our website is perrysburgpodcast.com. If you have not heard of the 577 Foundation, you're going to learn about it today. To get us started, though, here is the address for your GPS. It is 577 East Front Street, Perrysburg, Ohio. It is located at the intersection of East Boundary Street and East Front Street. The website is 577foundation.org. That's the number 5, the number 7, the number 7 again, foundation.org. 577foundation.org. There is no cost to visit, and the 577 Foundation is open daily from 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening. Before I roll the interview, I would just like to disclose that I am an instructor for the 577 Foundation. I teach Podcasting 101 and Audio Engineering for Podcasters 101. Typically, I teach in September after Labor Day. Now, even though I am an instructor, I have not been compensated in any way for putting this episode together. I just love the 577 Foundation. My whole family loves the 577 Foundation. It is one of our favorite spots here in Perrysburg. And that's it for my disclosure. Now let's hear from the 577 Foundation's executive director, Heather Gallant. Hi, Heather. Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim.
It is my pleasure. I feel like I'm interviewing my boss a little bit here. I'm an instructor here at the 577 Foundation, and for the first time ever, I'm in the upper floor of Virginia's house.
Yes. Yeah. This is where the magic happens. No, I'm kidding. This is where the administrative things happen, which are important to the operations of 577. But certainly the magic that's happening is happening on the grounds and in the woods and in the classrooms here.
Yes, there is magic here for sure.
Yeah.
But I have to comment on the room that I'm in. It definitely feels old. We've got a lot of wood. There's a lot of wood paneling, and there's a fireplace.
There is a fireplace. It doesn't work. It's not a functional fireplace, but it is really nice. This was actually one of the bedrooms of one of Virginia's children. So this was her youngest daughter, Denny. Her name was also Virginia, but they called her Denny as a nickname. And it has a really nice view over the river, out the window. And my favorite part is that I can open these windows in the summertime and hear people coming and laughing and playing and enjoying the space outside.
Very nice. Well, thank you for welcoming me into your office here.
Of course.
And let's do an introduction.
Sure.
Heather, who are you?
Who am I? I have to say, I love the quote from Alice in Wonderland where she says, "I've been several people since this morning." My name's Heather Gallant. I'm the executive director here at the 577 Foundation. I am a mom. I am a professional. I am an artist. I do my own. Actually, I was just sewing this morning in my studio at home before I came into work. And so I'm a lot of different things, just like everyone else.
You're an instructor here as well?
I am an instructor here. Yes, I teach some sewing classes. I've taught mostly fiber arts is my medium, but I also like to dabble in lots of other things. So I've taken classes in a lot of different areas here. But what I teach is typically fiber arts related.
Remind me, did you teach the mixed tape class too?
So I did teach mixed tape last year, which was a community singing activity that we were doing. It was very informal. It's people getting together and singing for fun. We had a lot of fun with that program. I'm not going to be able to run it this year, and I wasn't able to find anyone in house who could run that project. So we actually recently just transitioned it over to the Love Your Neighbor group that's in Northwest Ohio, and they're doing what they're calling the Peace Choir all over Toledo, and they're doing it in a different location every month. This month, I believe they're doing it on the steps of the Toledo Museum of Art, and they did it at Metro Parks last month. I've asked that they do it a couple times here at 577, but really they're more equipped and they've got kind of a deeper bench of singers to be able to lead the project. So I very happily shared it with them, and it's getting, I think it'll get larger under their tutelage.
Thank you for talking about that. I never showed up to the mixtape class. Now I'm kind of bummed because it doesn't exist anymore, but I'll have to look for that peace
Yeah,
choir.
it's called the Peace Choir. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's fun. And there's something very human about getting together and singing with each other, and I think singing in particular, but a lot of classes here at 577, people think they have to be good to be able to enjoy an activity, or they think it's like a performance, or they have to have a lot of skill around something before they've even tried it. And I particularly, I think adults feel that way, and the truth is, you can have a lot of fun and be really bad at something. And I think everybody that came to mixtape were good singers, but that really wasn't the point. It didn't matter if they were good singers or not. We're not the opera. We love the opera, but we're not the opera. We're getting together and singing because it's fun and it's our birthright to raise our voices with other people.
I have a son with autism and he loves music. So
Yeah.
I was thinking I would sing and
Yeah.
he would just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we still have music programs here. So we're still doing our Music in the Gardens programs once a month through the summer, I believe June through September. And so people can still come and hear music and sing along with the people that are playing music here. It's just, I didn't have the capacity this year to run an ongoing program like that.
That's totally understandable. I know you are very busy as the
Yeah.
executive director here. The place has grown and it is growing physically. So
Yes.
why don't before we get into what's coming up here with the pottery studio here at 577, can you tell me, are you a Perrysburg resident? Because I think a lot of my audience members wonder, is this person a Perrysburg resident?
Yes, yes, I am. I live here. Our kids goes to Perrysburg schools. I've got one right now at HPI and one at the high school. We are very happy farmers market attendees. We ride our bikes all over town. We live kind of close to Woodland Park, and so you might see us over there walking around. I think it's kind of been our dream as a family to live in the place where where I work. My husband works for the Metro Parks Toledo, so he's a little bit all over town, all over the region, doing his work. But it's really nice to be able to walk downtown, to be able to run into Kazmeyer's like I did last night to grab a couple items, to be able to know your neighbors. Perrysburg is a really great, I think, sort of quintessential American small-ish town, with a lot of amenities and beautiful things that towns our size don't have a lot of exposure to sometimes, to be within the proximity of Toledo, to have several world-class music and art venues in Northwest Ohio, to be as close as we are to as many educational institutions. And we've got a lot of really wonderful things in this little corner of Ohio. And so we're really happy to be here.
Perrysburg resident. So city then, right?
City, yes. Yep. Yep.
Got it. I am a city resident as well.
Yes, it's the best.
Yeah, I enjoy it
Yeah.
for sure. But I got to admit, this is confession time, just between you and me, Heather. Nobody else is listening, right? I don't think I get enough attention out into the township and all the things out there. But
Sure.
yep,
Yeah.
that'll be coming as the podcast continues.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got all kinds of wonderful things in the township as well. I mean, I think about WW Night Preserve, to be able to have that kind of outdoor space nearby is wonderful. To be able to have partnerships outside of the city proper, economic opportunities outside of the city proper. I think, we kind of have it all here.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Sawyer Quarry Nature Preserve. It's kind of a short park, a short trail anyways. And then whenever I bring a guest from out of town out there and they see the quarry, they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it's deep.
It's deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've seen wild turkeys out there, and it's just a
So
side of
cool.
Perrysburg that people don't normally see.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. I feel like there are lots of little gems like that where we kind of get in our little, echo chambers and we don't get out and see these other things. To know that there's a quarry within like reasonable driving distance from our homes, that's incredible.
Yep, and I usually pair my trips to the quarry with going to the recycling center that's
Uh huh.
practically across the road
Yep.
on Lime City Road behind the police station, basically, the
Yeah.
township police station.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of gems out there.
Yep.
All right, now let's talk about gems here. Since I mentioned it already, there's a pottery studio being built. Can you talk to me about when's it going to open? Where you at on building it?
No, I cannot.
No? Okay. I
We're still very much in the design phases, so we're not ready to announce it publicly yet.
got it.
We have talked with some, I mean, we've involved some of our pottery students in the design process, but I mean, we have to do a whole capital campaign. We have to do a research study on how much money we can raise to be able to build it. So we're way too early in the planning phases to really be able to talk a lot about it.
That's just fine. The community listening to this might find this episode a year or two from
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
So, as people are finding this podcast episode,
Yeah.
how can they learn about the progress
Yes.
on it?
Yes. So, I mean, check our website. We will have information up there. It's not that this is a big secret or anything. People have known for 15 years that we've needed a new pottery studio. We purchased the property next door to be able to expand our footprint, knowing that this is a growing place. Right now, if you try to sign up for our pottery classes, you know that they fill some of them within the first 15 minutes of them being open. So people know that we need a new pottery studio. They know that we've been talking about building a new one. We're just too early in the phases of designing it to be able to really talk about it and know a timeline or know how much it's going to cost to build it or any of those kinds of things. So in the next few years, once we know how much it's going to cost to build it, once we have a timeline on how long it's going to take to raise that money, if anybody wins the lottery in the next couple months and wants to pop a few $1 million to the 577 Foundation, we have a really good project for you to help us fund. It's this new pottery studio, but we won't know that for a little while. So by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to this in 2027 or 2028, we either will be well into the fundraising time period, and we should have a fundraising website up on our web page up on our website. Um, we will likely, I think the earliest that we could possibly start construction would be early 2028. So if you're hearing construction vehicles coming in and out of the 577 Foundation, you now know what's going on. We're building a pottery studio next door. But there are a lot of things that need to happen between now and then to be able to construct that.
Thanks for letting me in on the secret. I actually did
Yeah.
not realize that, you had a plan and a picture and
Yeah.
all these things. So, yeah, I'll be watching with the community to see what happens next.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And really the reason we're doing all of these things is to be able to serve the community better. There are a lot of people that would like to be taking pottery classes that just can't get in. We have a lot of people that are taking pottery now and have trouble practicing all of their the way that they do their pottery because we're using an old cow barn as our pottery studio, which is really beautiful that we've been able to do that for 40 years. We've just outgrown the space by like tenfold. So we need more space. And it's a beautiful problem to have. It's a beautiful problem to solve for the community.
You said cattle barn, right?
I said cattle barn. Yes.
I think at this time, I should probably ask you to kind of define what is the 577 Foundation and why is there even a cattle barn
Why
on
is
this
it
property?
why is it here? I think when you first invited me to do this podcast, you said I said that might be the hardest question that you asked me this whole time. And the reason is that we are so many things and we do so many different things here. And we're kind of a complex operation. We kind of are running 8 different businesses within one nonprofit organization. And I think in some ways that complexity is difficult because it's difficult for us to explain to people what we are. But we also really love that complexity because it means that we're meeting a lot of different needs for a lot of different people. So the easiest shorthand when people say, what is this place? The easiest way that we've been able to describe it is We're like an arts and nature education center. We're sort of like a community center. We're sort of like a park. We have all of these different parts to us. We're community gardens. We grow food to give back to local food banks. We are a place where people can gather and have meetings with their organization to sort out strategic planning, those sorts of things. I think a lot of times we jump to what we have here rather than what we are because we are so many different things to so many different people. So the kinds of things that we have here are we have a park-like setting with outdoor children's nature playscape, and we're open 7 days. That part is open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free admission. Anyone can come and enjoy this. We also have additional programs and services that are offered for hopefully affordable prices for a lot of people. And I know we'll get into talking about classes here in a little bit, but that is a large part of our operation is that we are teaching people and bringing people together to learn about things together. Why do we have a cow barn here? So originally, this land back in about 100 years ago, I mean, originally this land was swampland, right? This was um,
Great Black
Great
Swamp,
Black
right?
Swamp right on the banks of the Maumee River. And so there were trading routes that came through here. This is really rich soil. There were indigenous folks that lived in this area. But about 100 years ago, around 1916, when these properties were being platted, actually a little bit before that, and we have the actual documentation here at 577 of the original presidents that were signing off on different pieces of property. So we have documents signed by Jackson and, really interesting historic documents here of when this was actually squared off and this became 577.
American presidents signed.
American president signed
Whoa.
documents of when this original land was platted. But around 1900, 1916, it was purchased by the Greenhall family. So Colonel Greenhall and Marie Greenhall purchased this property, and it was really to escape the documentation that we have says that it was to escape the rigors of business life in Toledo. So they would come out here on the weekends. It was called a gentleman's farm. It wasn't a production farm or a commercial farm. It was a gentleman's farm where you would just come and hang out on the weekends, ride your polo ponies, train your horses.
It's an old-fashioned man cave.
Own fashioned man cave where you would bring your family though. Like you would all come out together and you would have caretakers here who would take care of the horses and cows during the week. Or, if you were coming out for a long weekend to your country home, that was really what this property was being used for, which I think is really interesting because that's what we're doing with it now, just for the entire community, not for just one family. So they did have a cow barn here. They had a dairy. They milked their cows. They rode their horses. They hung out and just really enjoyed nature, and then went back and did business life in Toledo. I think it's important to mention that Toledo at that time was actually doing more manufacturing than New York and Chicago at that time period in the early 1900s. And so having really serious business people in Toledo was not uncommon. That was a big part of the regional history. So they did need an escape. They did need some time out in nature to do things that they love, to be able to keep up with that kind of manufacturing prowess that the city was known for at the time. And then in 1935 is when the Secor Stranahan family purchased the property. Our founder, Virginia Secor Stranahan, actually a little before that, but they built this house that we're in right now in around 1935. And they raised their 6 children here on this property. They had victory gardens during World War II. They had livestock here during World War II, so chickens, cows, pigs. And I think, that becomes really interesting because we have community gardens here now. And Virginia was well ahead of her time. Our founder, Virginia, wanted for people to be tending things organically long before organic gardening was a buzzword. So we continue to do that here today, is garden our community gardens organically. We don't have livestock here at the moment. We don't really have people on staff that would be able to take care of those animals. And also we're in the historic district of Perrysburg now, so I don't know how welcome some cows would be in in town in Perrysburg. Um, but we take care of the land. We invite people here to do different hobbies and self-sufficiency activities and learn together. And so I think we're sticking pretty true to the roots of what this place was used for.
Thanks for the backstory. I was just thinking about zoning. Zoning's the word that I was searching for because I
Yeah.
wish that we could do more for the walleye fishermen and have some
Ah,
sort of a downtown campground. And
interesting.
yeah, you got some land out here, but see, zoning's a problem. So
Zoning can change.
animals,
Yep. So
fishing, campground, yeah,
right,
that's all
that's right.
zoning.
The other piece is that we were the first conservation easement in Northwest Ohio. We were founded around the same time as the Black Swamp Conservancy. And really, the impetus for that founding was that Virginia wanted for her property to be green space forever. And so she wrote to the National Nature Conservancy and said, "Hey, will you uh, protect my property so that it's green space forever?" And they said, "Well, we usually do large tracts of farmland. We don't usually do 12-acre residences." And the lore is that she sent a check to them and said, "No, I would really like for you to protect my property." And they wrote back and said, "Okay, we'll do that on one condition, and that is that you start a conservancy organization locally in Northwest Ohio." And so she got some of her friends together. Actually, right here on our property, they gathered and talked about what would it look like to have a conservancy organization in Northwest Ohio. And that's how Black Swamp Conservancy was founded. So originally, this property was protected by the Nature Conservancy, and it switched over around 1994 or 1995 to Black Swamp Conservancy to be protecting the land as well. So the green space that you see back here, it cannot be developed. We don't want it to be developed. Anything from here to the river is green space forever for the residents of Northwest Ohio, including the flora and fauna residents of Northwest Ohio, not just the people. This is green space. So we wouldn't be able to put a campground in here because it is very much supposed to be natural and wild.
You're not breaking my heart, but I was thinking maybe the Commodore lawn. I think about all the
Oh,
Bike to the Bay events that I did
yeah.
back in the 90s,
Yes.
and we would bike from Maumee
Yep.
to Port Clinton.
Yep.
We would pitch tents on a baseball field, I think,
Mhm.
at Port Clinton High School.
Yeah.
The National Guard would truck in all of our stuff, and we would use the high school, what was it, like the locker rooms to
Yeah.
take showers and brush our teeth and, use the bathrooms and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I was just trying to think, what
Woodland
can we
Park.
do to help these walleye fishermen? But yeah,
Yeah,
Woodlands Park.
Woodland Park could be really interesting.
But you're turning me
Yeah, I don't
down,
know.
so
I'm
that's all right.
sorry.
I won't approach you about it. That's all right.
577 is not the spot. We're the spot to do lots of things. I don't know about that one.
Understood. Back to the timeline. I
Yeah.
understand the house was built in 1935.
Yep.
This house is almost 100 years old.
It
So
is.
can you guys get your plaque from Historic Perrysburg Inc.?
That is a really good question. Probably, I don't know how that works. We'll have to talk to them and find out. Really, we should be doing that for all the buildings on our property because we also have a log house from 1803, which is the known as the oldest wooden structure in Wood County.
Hmm.
We don't have a plaque for that at some point. I don't. Maybe we'll need to look into that. And the property, the barn up at the front of the property was built around 1916, 1915. So those buildings also are historic and over 100 years old. So maybe we need multiple plaques for all the different buildings on our property.
I'll let you get in touch with the
Okay.
folks over there. Joy Studer is my contact person.
Excellent. Yeah, we know Joy. She's great.
Yep, there you go. I could just see that little oval plaque here on the front of
Mhm.
Virginia's mansion, and
Yeah.
that'd be cool. But anyways, yeah, that's bragging rights. This house is almost 100 years old, which is cool. And then Virginia Secor Stranahan,
Mhm.
did she donate the land and the house? It became the 577.
Yes. So she founded the 577 Foundation. It was originally incorporated in 1988. So the 577 Foundation predates the Black Swamp Conservancy, and the land and buildings on this property belong to the 577 Foundation and were transferred over to us when she passed in the early 90s. 1997. So they belong to the 577 Foundation, but it's protected by and monitored by the Black Swamp Conservancy to make sure that we aren't like using pesticides on the protected property, to make sure we aren't building too many buildings on the land, that it really is staying green space.
Heather, I really like that you opened up saying that the 577 is an arts and nature center. That's how I usually describe it to people too.
Okay, great.
And I know it's a nonprofit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
any income that comes in here gets reinvested into the 577.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, and it's grown a lot under your leadership,
Mhm.
I've
Oh, thank you.
noticed.
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So that was something that was part of my hiring process was that the board wanted to see it grow. They wanted to see us serving more people in the community. And so I think we're looking for someone. I don't know for certain because I wasn't on the hiring team, but given the questions that they were asking me during the hiring process, it was clear that they were looking to grow the organization as best we could. We are a little bit landlocked, and we've grown as much as we can in terms of adding more classes, adding more studio spaces. Inviting more people to come and teach here. And I think the pandemic also helped us a little bit in that growth plan because we were able to take a step back and really evaluate what's the most important thing that happens here? What do we want to be doing more of? And really, the message that we got from the community, from staff, from family members of Virginia, from people on the board, from the leadership was that we are an educational space. We are a place to bring people together and connect around education. And education is kind of a broad term here. We want it to be very experiential, non competitive, experimental. We want for people to feel supported as they're doing it. But really, the most important thing is that they're connecting with each other around whatever this topic is that they're all looking at and experimenting with. Um, and so it's kind of a non-traditional educational type. You're not being graded, you're not being judged even. It's literally learning for the love of learning and exploring your curiosity with other people, in community with other people is a really important piece of that.
I was waiting for you to say community because I know you're really big on building community around
Absolutely.
all of these classes and events. Can you
Hmm.
talk a little bit about? I know on the website there's a number of things. There's special events, of course,
Hmm.
but then there's pottery, which you've already mentioned, fiber arts, which you say that you teach yourself, studio arts, culinary arts. I've taken a cooking class,
Hmm.
two of them,
Yeah.
canning, and then something with Dr. Humaira Latif, I think.
Hmm.
Yes, about healthy eating.
Yes.
There's enrichment and wellness classes, and then gardening, nature, and conservation. Oh, and there's youth and family classes, which I've taken a crochet class with my niece Nora here with
Yeah.
Annie, which was great. So, would you like to talk about the classes and definitely dive into that community building piece because I know
Yes.
that's important to you?
It is. It's very important. I mean, it's 2026 right now. People can go on YouTube and learn how to crochet. It is a completely different experience to come and have an instructor showing you how to do it with your hands next to someone else who is struggling. Doing it with effort among other people, I think, is a very baseline human thing for us to want to do. Some people learn better on YouTube and doing it at home, and that's fine. But a lot of people learn much better when they're doing it among other people. So we like to say they're almost um, the learning piece and the skills building piece is important, but we're not learning and building skills necessarily to be able to sell our pieces. We're not trying to necessarily be the best person at this art form as can be. We're doing it because it's fun and we enjoy it and we want to learn about it and we're doing it with other people. So when we talk about the community building piece, I would say that's almost more important than the thing we're doing itself. It is we're doing it with other people to the point where we recently just opened our Green Door Studio, and we're doing open studio time in there, similar to the open studio time that we do in the Pottery Studio, where people can come and pay a per hour fee just to use our facilities, use our materials, use the clay or the paint or the drawing materials in those spaces. And we're finding that people are coming to the Green Door Studio and doing their projects together. And the feedback we're getting from them is because they want to do it with other people. So you can very easily draw at home. You can very easily paint at home. But if you're doing it by yourself, it's not nearly as fun as coming and meeting others who are also really geeked out about these kinds of art forms, or you have an instructor there that can coach you if you're running into trouble. To do these kinds of activities with other people, I think is a big need in just our society in general. We're looking at, we're hearing about a loneliness epidemic. We're not seeing that at 577. We're seeing people that are choosing to come and do these things with other people, in some cases strangers, just because we need other people. We live in community with other people. We're social animals at the end of the day.
I like how I can try things and I go into it knowing I'm not going to be the smartest student in the room. I'm not going to
Mhm.
be the most skilled person in the room. I have seen children who can crochet better than I can.
Yeah.
It's a little bit humbling, but at the same time, you look at that person and you realize how fast kids pick things
Yeah.
up and how, as adults, maybe not so fast. But also, it's not about comparing yourselves to others. It's about making the thing that you went to the class to learn how to make and trying to figure out, do I like this?
Yes.
Do I want to continue?
Yes.
So it's often a 1 day class,
Yes.
maybe 2 hours at a time,
Mhm.
and the equipment and the yarn is provided. And then you don't have to worry about going out on your own and trying to figure out what size hook do I need and what kind of yarn. And we learn by watching other people too. So
Mhm.
it was humbling for me to
Yeah.
take that crochet class,
Yeah.
especially with my 11-year-old niece
Yeah.
who picked it up honestly faster than I did.
Yeah. Well, I think and we notice this with adult learners all the time because a lot of times our classes are with adult learners. We've got some kids classes, but kids get a lot of these kinds of skills and lessons and classes in school. You know, they've got art class, they've got music class. Adults, some of them haven't touched clay or yarn since they were in school. And I think as adults, we get really good at recognizing what our strengths are and what we're good at. And we opt out of anything that we're not good at. So we very much pigeonhole ourselves into the things that we know we're going to excel at. And so to come to a class where we haven't done it in decades or maybe we've never done it at all, our expectation is that we're going to be good at it because we have figured out how to streamline ourselves into things we're good at. And it can be a rude awakening when you come into a class and you're like, this my pot doesn't look anything like the instructor's pot." Well, how could it possibly look like the instructor's pot? The instructor has been doing this for 30 years. Clearly, you would hope that they would be better at it than someone who's never done it before, but we just aren't exposed to those kinds of experiences as much. So to be able to come in with, the humility and with, the sort of I think it's courageous actually to come into something that you are not going to be good at right off the bat and to be able to persevere through that and to be able to bond with other people that you're with that are not good at it. I mean, I can't tell you how many classes I've been in where there's a person next to me here at 577 that I just met and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening right now. And they are like, I don't either. And to be able to be in that vulnerable space with another human being is quite healthy. And we just I think in a lot of times in our lives, we are expected to be experts and we're expected to know everything, or at least we feel that pressure. And to be able to be in a room with other human beings that and just admit that you are learning right alongside them. And I know that I will get better if I practice this. I'm actually really enjoying this. I feel calm doing this. Working with your hands and having a finished product is extremely good for people's nervous systems, for people's brain development at any age. You know, we're seeing all kinds of studies come out now about elderly adults who are still doing music or are still doing handicrafts have a less of a chance of developing dementia or Alzheimer's. Just the social connection that people have is really necessary to your personal health. All of these things that we're doing at 577 are deeper and more important than just learning how to do the project itself. It's actually really helping you in a lot of different ways.
Sure,
And so
building self-esteem.
building self-esteem.
Yeah.
Some of us need some humility. Let's let's just name it. Like so it's good for us to be beginners again and it helps us recognize when other people aren't good at something immediately. That's not a personal flaw. It just means you haven't been exposed to this particular thing before. It's really good for us to get together and do this thing together.
When I went to a canning class, I just thought it would be cool to learn how to can things.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it's a whole activity with the jars and the
Yeah.
sterilization and going to the store and buying the stuff and having it all in stock.
Yeah.
I mean, in the back of my head, I know it's going to be something I don't know how to do. But then to be in a room with people of all ages from
Yes.
I think 12 through let's just say gray hair.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
people to say, well, my mom used to do it. I'd like to learn how to do it too.
Yes.
That was interesting to hear people's motivation.
And I love several things that I just heard you say, which are it is learning how to do the thing so you have the can of food at the end, but you also are learning some history there because you're hearing other people's stories and oral history about their families and how their parents or grandparents used to can things. You're learning about science because if you aren't careful, you're going to have botulism in your cans, and that's not good. You are in a multi-generational, non-competitive environment. Nobody's canning is going to be better than anyone else's. We're all going to do this
We're all
together.
new.
We're all new. We're all learning about this. It's creative. It's multidisciplinary. I taught a sewing class a few years ago, and I had the same multi-generational, diverse experience that you did, where there were people in the class that were teenagers in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, even in their 70s, all in the same class together, multiple racial backgrounds, multiple religious backgrounds that came out in the course of the time that we were talking together. Um, some people had sewn, some people had never sewn, and they were all helping each other. At one point, one of the machines broke that we were using, and I was trying to fix the machine. Somebody else stepped in and was almost teaching the class at that point. It was one of the other participants, but she was like, "I know what we're doing," and hopped on a machine and showed people how to do it while I was trying to fix the machine. It's just an experience that we aren't getting in a lot of other places to be able to come in and do this together, to do this with people that we just met and we're laughing and enjoying each other's company. Hearing about other people's experiences with crafts. We're laughing when something goes really wrong. We're cheering when something goes really well. Um, I love that we've got people from lots of different backgrounds. That multi-generational piece is really important, I think, because we just aren't being exposed to people from I mean, maybe in a work setting,
We're not choosing to
we're not
interact with
choosing
people who
to
are different from us.
interact with folks that are different from us, and when you come here to something like this, you immediately have something in common because you were interested in this activity to do together. And so you do get along in this space because, I mean, we've got really skilled instructors, right, that are encouraging people to get along with each other and to learn from each other. But also it's just the kind of space where people want to come together and you know, be interested in this thing and learn about this thing,
Yes.
you know?
People have different motivations. People have
Sure.
the like me, I was just curious about it. I certainly have known my mom used to can,
Yeah.
well, still does, strawberry jam.
Yes.
And that's so much different from, oh, there was something called dilly beans that
Yes.
they were teaching. I've never even heard of
Yeah.
that. Then I learned there's entire cookbooks about all the things that you can can.
Yes.
I just thought it was, raw vegetables, you throw in some salt or something.
Yeah.
I learned so much.
So much.
Yep.
And just I think it's important for us to also know how much effort goes into a thing before it shows up on our plate and how much history there is behind that. So so dilly beans actually I took that same class and those were not something unfamiliar to me. That's something my grandparents used to make. And so they opened that container of dilly beans and it was like I was transported back to my childhood in the grass at my grandparents' house eating the dilly beans that they canned last summer, beans that they grew in their yard in their garden. And it was very nostalgic for me, but I can understand that if you've never had something like that, that would be a very new experience.
Never
Um,
heard of it.
but that was how a lot of families, particularly in the United States, across the world, that's how families have the food that they need to eat through the winter. So to know that this was a precursor to opening a can of green beans in the wintertime or opening, just how does food get to us? How many hands went into the food before it makes it onto our plate? The same thing with clothes. When I'm making a piece of clothing or I look at a piece of clothing in a store, now that I know about garment construction, it just adds a layer of appreciation for a thing when it makes it to me because I know how much effort went into growing this particular plant to make this particular fiber, to be woven into this particular fabric, to be sewn into this particular garment piece, this pair of pants, for example. For me to put those on every day and actually be appreciative of how much effort went into this one item, I think makes you walk through the world a little bit differently. And so I think we're adding that layer of appreciation onto when you grow a tomato in our community gardens and you have to water it 3 times a week if it hasn't rained that week or more, to be able to get one single tomato, it makes you appreciate the tomato that you pick up at the grocery store a little bit differently, than just shoving it in your mouth.
I think there's a little bit of healthy competition too, because
Mm,
people grow the same types of things. They've got their beans,
yep.
their cherry tomatoes, their heirloom tomatoes, whatever. And I think you can look from one box to the next. And I think it's healthy competition, like, oh, their box is looking better. Like maybe I could, if I catch them watering their stuff, I can
Yes.
ask them, how are they doing it better?
Well, and so this is a great example of why someone would garden at the 577 Foundation as opposed to gardening at home, because you do have the
Mentorship.
conversations, the mentorship.
Yeah.
We have our several horticulturalists on staff that can answer questions. And one of our horticulturalists has several degrees in soil science, so she can go over and feel the soil and say, I think that it needs a little bit more compost, or I think you've over composted this. Maybe we need to mix in a little bit more brown matter or something like that. So we've got experts, we've got people that just have a lot of experience. So we don't necessarily require people that are teaching classes here to have higher degrees in their particular field of study or thing that they're teaching. They just need to have enough experience to be able to teach it to someone else. So some of our community gardeners have been gardening for 20 years, and they can tell you that's probably not going to grow there because of the way that the sun hits your particular garden. Now, they're not horticulturalists in a formal training sense, but they've done it long enough that they can coach each other. Or, I tried that last year, it didn't work, so I tried this year, and now it's really flourishing and working well. But you're calling it competition. I would say that it's people sharing knowledge that they've gained through experimentation with each other about their gardens or about the topic that they're learning about. Or I took this watercolor class last month and I figured out this technique and I'm really excited about it. And the person next to them looks over and says, "How in the world did you do that?" You can show them how to do it, and we're all learning together and trying things together.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I learned from other people and I
Yes.
can talk to the person next to me and say, "How did you do that?"
Yeah.
Whereas if you're watching it on YouTube, yeah, that's one way to learn and it's
Sure.
valid.
Yep.
But
And it's
you don't
great.
have
I mean, it's
another
actually
person there
yes,
to
it's great
ask.
to be able to see other ideas. It's something very different to be able to learn it, sort of laterally, not hierarchically, but you're learning it from the people that are sitting next to you and who are learning it at the same time.
And
It's really special.
it's kind of old school too because
Yeah,
that's how everybody learned back in the
of
day.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. You have this great list on the website. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about specific classes. Is there anything you would like to highlight or run down a list of things that are taught here?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think what's interesting about 577 is that it's a continually changing list. So just because a class is listed this month does not mean that it's going to be offered again next month. And part of the reason that we have this richness of variety of classes is that we invite community members to teach classes as well as our staff. So not only do we have 20 people on staff, most of whom teach here, we also have about 60 people in the community who present ideas to us about the kinds of things that they want to teach. And we curate the list. So it's usually within the areas of science, ecology, the environment, art and craft, uppercase C craft, and then history and culture. And ideally, the classes are multidisciplinary. So you have a canning class and you're learning science at the same time as you're learning, the different flavors, and you're learning the culinary arts piece at the same time as learning the scientific. How do we get this to the right temperature to make sure that we're killing bacteria, et cetera? You might be in a pottery class, but you're also learning about heat temperatures and the different chemical elements that it takes to make a glaze that's going on this pot before you heat it up, and then it turns into glass. And how incredible is that? So we like for these things to be multidisciplinary, but I couldn't even begin to tell you what classes we're teaching in 2 months from now, because there are usually 60 every month in these variety of topics. the best thing to do is to check the website and see what we've got going on now. I will mention we've got the pottery studio, which is a full blown pottery studio, everything from beginners to people that are participating in our programs that we would consider experts. And we kind of like to mix pros with newbies because it makes it so that you can learn from each other on the full continuum. So that program, not only do we have classes that we teach in that area, but we also have independent studio time. So once you've been through our 6-week class, you are eligible to come for $10 an hour and use our studios anytime from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. As an independent potter. Of course, the studio's closed if we've got classes or if we're cleaning and that sort of thing. But other than that, during those times, people can come and use the studio. We're also trying that out with our new Green Door studio, our messy classroom, where you can come and do that in community with other people. Yeah, other than that, I don't know what to highlight because, there's gardening classes one month and then there's basket weaving another month. And then, we've got story time for kids every month. But it's just so ever evolving and ever changing and always interesting. I never look at a class list without feeling compelled to take at least 3 or 4 things on there, some of which I've never tried before in my life. And I'm just interested in trying those things out. So there's always something interesting. Yoga, foraging, nature arts, just all kinds of variety. And it's really based on the creativity of people in our own community.
And if anybody wants to find out more about the classes, where do they go?
Yep. Our website is 577foundation.org.
Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome.
Heather, I know you mentioned that you have 20 staff and a number of community instructors. That's a lot of people to give shout outs to, but is there anything you would like to say about your staff or the community instructors, or maybe how to become a community instructor, such as myself? I know I reached out, I think through the contact form, but I don't know if I did it the
Yes.
right way.
Yes, absolutely. So I will say that this particular staff are some of the most inventive, creative, Renaissance people that you can find anywhere. As a collective, this staff can make anything, they can fix anything, they can grow anything, and I feel like they can solve anything. They're just a really wide thinking group of people. I will mention a lot of people know Julie. Julie is our pottery studio manager and ceramic artist here. She's been teaching at 577 for 29 years and is completely unmatched in making pottery and teaching other people how to do that. I want to give a shout. I mean, I should give a shout out to every staff member because they're all incredible. I will mention also Mike. He's our assistant director of buildings, grounds, and technology. If you can imagine how wide his job is, he's been here over 20 years and I would say he has a completely encyclopedic knowledge of this land, these buildings, where all the pipes are buried. Like he can walk out and say, right here is where the electric line is. I mean, he just knows everything about this property. And he just has almost a sixth sense of when things need to be repaired around the 577 Foundation. Phenomenal person. You mentioned Connie, I think our program manager. She's been here over a decade. She's our contact person for people that are wanting to be community instructors. So you did exactly the right thing. You can go on our website on the Get Involved page and fill out a form with an idea that you might have for a class here, and she'll be able to walk you through, whether we're looking for that kind of class, whether that kind of class is already being covered by other folks that are community instructors. But she's a great person to talk to about offering a class here. Super talented painter and artist, and just a wonderful person all around. A lot of people know our horticulturalists, Samantha and Bennett. And between the two of them, they've got experience in organic gardening and conventional gardening. They've done it across many cultural and geographic locations. So everywhere from Arizona to South Carolina, Wyoming, Colorado, even at every elevation in Nepal. So the two of them collectively have just phenomenal gardening knowledge. We have people that come in and just kind of hold up a plant and they say, "What's this? What do I do with this?" And our staff can help you identify it, can help you learn what to do about it. If it's an invasive, they can give you tips on how to get rid of it. And so we've just got incredible people here. Even among the 20 people that are on our staff, we've got fiber artists, metal artists, cartoonists, printmakers, scientists, painters, bakers, upcyclers, potters, really you name it. And they have either done it or are interested in trying it out. And it's just really fun to be around all the time, this creative energy.
I have met a number of the staff members, and I was really honored that Bennett took my podcasting 101 class one
Yes.
year. So I was like, wow, a 577 staffer is taking my
Yeah.
class. I thought that was awesome. And although
Yeah.
he hasn't started a podcast yet, he has talked about it. So
Yeah.
it gives me something to talk to him about when I stop by, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and actually part of our culture at 577 is that if a staff member sees someone here, we're encouraged to say hello to visitors. And that is part of our history. That's kind of interesting. Virginia, when she first started the 577 Foundation, would hire people with traumatic brain injuries because
Mm.
she recognized the importance of having them around community and around other people. And the rule was do whatever this task is, generally a gardening task, to the best of your ability. And the only rule was when you see someone that's coming through just to walk through the 577 Foundation, say hi to them to the best of your ability. So we had some people that were nonverbal that were here and still figuring out how to wave or say hello to people. So we've kind of carried that through as a tradition at 577 to our staff members now, to be able to continue that and say hello to people when they come in. So if you notice that a lot of people here are saying hi to you, it's probably a staff member, and it's probably because that's just part of our culture is to welcome people in and help you feel at home when you come here.
That is a very welcoming comment to make. And I'm going to segue over to another thing that has the word welcome in it. You have a welcome center. Can you tell me about the welcome
We
center?
do, yeah. So it's called our Welcome Center and Curiosity Shop, and so that is a place. It's open 6 days a week. We're open 7 days a week, but we have kind of limited staff here on Sundays. But 6 days a week from Monday through Saturday, the Welcome Center and Curiosity Shop are open during our open hours, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the Curiosity Shop is a really interesting place. It's a creative reuse center and a used bookstore, and it also has community artwork in there from different artists that we've come into contact with. So if you have used books or gently used art supplies that you'd like to share with someone else, maybe you tried a craft and you decided you didn't like it. Maybe like me, you overbuy on fabric and yarn, and then you look around your house and you're like, who is the wild woman who bought all of this stuff? And maybe you don't want that yarn anymore, or you don't want those art supplies. We very gladly take those and then sell them to other people, to be able to supplement the costs of our operations here at 577, the cost of our programs, to help keep costs low for everyone. So it does a couple things. One, it keeps some of those books and art supplies out of the waste stream if they're usable by someone else. So it gives you an opportunity to donate things to a good cause. It gives us an opportunity to share those things with other people at a pretty low cost. You know, most of our books are between $1 to $4. You can get yarn from our yarn wall for $1 per skein. Yeah,
The yarn wall,
the
as you
yarn
call it,
wall.
it's a great photo op. I don't know if you realize
It's
that.
so
It's
colorful,
so
and it
colorful.
makes me so happy when I
Yeah.
walk in, and I've heard that from other people too. You walk in and you're just like, there is a wall of beautiful, colorful yarn.
Yes.
And so especially if you are somebody who likes using yarn for your crafts, to walk in there and see that is kind of like music rings and lights shine down on it, and
Oh.
it's yeah, exactly. Exactly, it feels really good to walk in there. And all of that is donated to us by other members of the community who don't have a need for it anymore. So we have really high quality curated items that are in there that have been donated to us, and then we share it with other people. Also, if you're an artist and you want to sell your pieces here, and we've got information about that on our website, and we swap out which artists are selling work in our shop every quarter, I believe. So you can put your stuff up for a little while and share it with other people. And then the only caveat is we keep 20% of the proceeds just for our operations on those art pieces, and you receive 80%. So it's a pretty good split to be able to share your art with other people.
I have bought a number of things from the Welcome Center,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to give you a shout out. Great
Yeah.
Welcome Center or
Thank
Curiosity
you.
Shop.
Yes.
My son really likes to buy snacks there.
Yes.
You have a refrigerator with poppy drinks.
Yep.
He will try all kinds of different flavors of that.
Yep.
And he eats the goldfish, and you have
Yep.
some sort of a fig bar in
Yep.
there too.
Yep.
I buy the honey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's honey here.
Mhm.
That actually, a portion of it is made with the honey from the bees that we have in our own beehives here at 577. So you're taking home literal Northwest Ohio honey from the 577 Foundation, fresh, delicious honey.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's
all
good.
kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, and I'm not done yet. I
Oh.
bought Woobles. You guys have this display case with Woobles.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
my nephews and niece and my son have all bought Woobles from there.
Uh-huh.
And Annie, the crochet instructor,
Yes.
creates hats and things.
Beautiful pieces.
Yep.
Yes.
And I
Very
have
warm.
purchased one of her hats, and
Mhm.
it matched my winter coat perfectly. It's
Yeah.
a Caribbean blue, and I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it matched. And so,
Yeah.
of course, I had to have it. I've bought books,
Uh-huh.
and I bought a crochet hook for my niece and some yarn.
Yeah.
She picked that out herself. So, like you said, it's very affordable.
Yes.
So if kids love to buy stuff. So if
Yeah.
kids want to come in with a couple of dollars, they could really buy something.
Yes, absolutely. And I think similar to our classes, I and look, I'm here almost every day of the week. I will walk in there and I'm like, where did that come from? I mean, there's just, it's ever changing. There's always something interesting in there. I actually personally don't go in the curiosity shop very often because otherwise I walk out of there with 4 books and more yarn. And
It's a great place to spend some time.
place to spend some time. We've got a really lovely fireplace in there. So we have some people that just come in and they'll just crochet as other people come in and out, or they'll read a book in there in the wintertime. Gosh, we haven't even talked about the geodesic biodome, which is another really cool spot, or I should say warm spot for people to come in and do their art, read a book, talk with a friend,
Feed the fish.
feed the fish. There's tropical plants in there. We have people that come in there and spend time because they have seasonal affective disorder or if they have asthma. In the wintertime, it's a really nice, humid, warm place to get a hit of sunshine. That you just, to be able to walk into a greenhouse in Northwest Ohio in the dead of January is a really beautiful gift. To be able to have some of that warmth, talk to other people that come through. It's really beautiful.
My glasses fog up every time I go
Every
in there in the
single
winter.
time.
Yeah, for sure. It's
You
warm.
have to acclimate, but you take a cup of coffee in there. Maybe you get it from somewhere, Maddie and Bella's or the Bard's Coffee, and you come down to 577 and you can just hang out. And I like to use a couple words when I describe 577. It's a place of sharing. It's a place of curiosity. It's a place where people care. And it's a place where you can linger. You can slow down. You can just spend time here. We're not trying to rush you out unless it's 4:45. Then our staff wants to get home. But the whole day, you can just slow down and experience this really lovely place. And it's available to everybody.
Yep. Thank you for saying that. As a first time visitor, I would just recommend anybody in the audience go up to the Welcome Center.
Yes.
And there is a map too, and there's
Mhm.
brochures. So you
Mhm.
can get a list of all the things that you might like to see there.
Absolutely. That's a great first and last stop, I would say. Pop in the Welcome Center, kind of ask what the lay of the land is and where you're allowed to go. And, we are very open and you're welcome to wander. But it can be, because we're trying to balance telling you exactly where to go and this sense of wonder and discovery and exploration, there are places that are available for you to go and look at. And I think first time visitors might feel a little hesitant. Like, am I allowed to go in this building? If you're not allowed to go in, it'll be locked. But if you are allowed to go in, please come in and explore and, look at the 1803 log house that is set up as a historic building. Go in and walk around the dome, go play in the play area, do the full story walk where we change out a picture book once a month where you can read this beautiful picture book all the way around our property. We see adults that want to read the picture book because you're never too old for a children's book. They
True
just are
story.
such a delight. We see groups of adults that have developmental disabilities that come once a month in a van and they walk around and read the book together. We've heard folks come and read the book who are learning English for the first time. There's all kinds of stuff for you to explore here, and we would love for people to come. We love when people come and we can share this with them.
Definitely a must see place in
Yes.
Perrysburg.
Yes.
I wanted to mention the map because, if you've never
Yeah.
been here before, you don't know if I only have 30 minutes, where do
Right.
I go? And my personal recommendation is inside the Welcome Center and Curiosity Shop,
Mhm.
and then the Dome.
Yep.
Those are my two must sees.
Yes.
But there's so many other great things here
Yes.
too.
Yeah. Another one to mention is the bee room. Actually, we're about to remodel that space because we haven't remodeled it in 30 years. So it's just time. But
There's
we're
real bees in
real
there.
bees in there. You can observe them in the beehive. You can try to find the queen bee. we're about to put some more interactive activities in there for kids to be able to play with things, more fine motor skill type activities. We've got the gross motor skills outside in the outdoor playscape, nature playscape, and then we'll do some more like fine motor activities for people in the B room. So that's coming soon. We're really excited about the things we're dreaming up for that space.
I'm excited to see that. The birds and the bees room is how I call it, but you call it the bee room.
We
But
call it the
there's
bee
birds
room.
in there
There are
too.
birds in there. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to keep calling it the bee room, but it's more of like a pollinator room. There's other
Yeah.
information about, birds are pollinators, other insects are pollinators, and it ties in really well with the gardening aspect of what we do here is to talk about pollinators as well. So it's
That's
not
a
just the
really good
bees.
point.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Heather, I could talk to you about the 577 Foundation all day. No joke. This is such a special place
Yeah,
here in
thank you.
Perrysburg.
Well, have me back. That's what we can talk about. We can go in depth on any of these topics
Yeah,
another time. That'd be
I know.
great.
I hear you like deep conversations.
I
So
do.
you're on. We'll have to have you come back sometime,
Perfect.
especially once you get your historic Perrysburg ink plaque,
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
That's a noteworthy achievement right there. But as we start to wrap this up, it is spring 2026, officially
Mhm.
spring now as we
Yeah.
record this, March 24th, 2026. And I got to ask, what's coming up? What opportunities are out here for the 577 Foundation?
I've mentioned some of them, the classes, that really the best place to go to learn about what's coming up is the website. So whether you're listening to this in 2026 or whether you're listening to this several months or several years from now, we are updating the website constantly. And so if you go on our website, which is 577foundation.org, there's specifically a tab that says get involved. So if you want to volunteer, we're always looking for additional helpers here. We've got volunteers in our gardens with story time and events that are coming up. We've got clerical volunteers, people that want to do book sorting or shelving in the curiosity shop. So we are constantly looking for folks that want to just come and help out. We also, if you want to become a community instructor, if you have an idea of a topic or a handicraft or a garden tip that you want to share with a lot of other people, you can sign up to be a community instructor on that under that Get Involved tab. If you want to become a gardener here and tend a garden, you get to keep about 75% of the produce you grow. 25% of what you grow gets donated back to community food banks. So you can sign up to to get on the wait list for the community gardener program on our website on that page. If you want to be a community beekeeper, we're looking for people that will help us tend our bees here as well. So that's another opportunity. Community artist or to sell your items in the curiosity shop. That's on that website. We do quarterly college internships if there are people that want to come and really see the in-depth how a nonprofit organization works. We've got opportunities for that. And then our special events that are coming up. The first one from today will be on April 25th. We have Go Green Day, which is our Earth Day celebration, all kinds of trying out different activities, different art forms, that kind of thing. There's usually some sort of musical guest, all kinds of, it's kind of the best of 577. You get to see all the different types of classes that we teach here. So that'll be on April 25th. We have our annual plant sale coming up on May 2nd and 3rd. So that will be plants that we've grown in our greenhouses organically. You can come and purchase those. Anything from tomatoes. A lot of times we have onions, leeks, different native plants if you are more into landscaping than vegetables. So all kinds of different things. And so that will be May 2nd and 3rd. We have free story times that are both indoor and outdoor, which is a little bit different than other places that do story times. We have an opportunity to be outside and read the book outside and then do an activity in nature. So those are coming up every month. Check our website for dates on that. Free music in the gardens events every second Saturday of the month from June through September. Another sort of best of 577 activity in December called Joy and Light, usually the second Saturday in December, but take a look at our website to find out. But you can come here every day of the week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and wander and linger and enjoy. And then, of course, the classes that are coming out. Classes are announced. So this is a hot tip. If you're trying to get into a class that has been offered regularly and you're having trouble, we announce the new classes the last Wednesday of every month at 9 a.m. There's a little bit of variation in November, December, depending on how the holidays are falling. Maybe it's announced the 2 weeks, the second to last Wednesday, but generally last Wednesday of the month, 9 a.m. Set your alarm. Go on our website. I'm not joking. I mean, people set their alarms to sign up for classes because there are certain classes that fill within the first 15 minutes of us opening them. So,
Wow, that reminds me of college in the 90s. We
yeah.
used to have to call a hotline to try to
to
schedule
get
for our
You got to get
classes.
in there. You're not going to graduate.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
it's a lot of people want to be taking these classes. So if there's one in particular that you really want to get into, we post them a few days ahead of time so you can look on our website and see what classes are going to be opening on the last Wednesday of the month, but then get in there right at 9 a.m. if there's a class you really want to take. We aren't awarding classes secretly to people ahead of time. It's definitely at 9 a.m. when they open. It's first come, first serve. I'll also mention if there's a class you really want to take, get on the wait list because the wait lists reset every month and we email everybody on the wait list at the same time. So, it's not like you're ranked on the wait list. It's first come, first serve if a spot opens up, and they do open up. So if you really want to take a class, we would recommend being on the wait list.
Okay. And you do have an email list as well
We
too that
do.
notifies everybody on the email list that
Yes.
classes are open, right?
Yes. So if you want to sign up for that, it's on the homepage of our website. If you scroll down to the very bottom, you can sign up for the e-newsletter. Those go out about once a week. And we're sending those to about 10,000 people once a week.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
This is why it's so hard to get into classes is 10,000 people are on the email list. So
Yeah,
it's
this is a very
big
special
reach.
place. People know it.
Yes.
They love the classes. They love to come here. Whenever I come here, there's always at least one other car. And
Yeah.
yeah, people come in and out all day long. So
All day long. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you've never been here, come on over.
Please do.
Yeah. Heather, thanks for being here on the Perrysburg Podcast. Have a wonderful spring.
You too.
Thanks.
And that wraps up our interview. Thanks again to Heather Gallant for being on the Perrysburg Podcast today. I learned a lot about the 577 Foundation that I didn't already know. Two things that I'm just going to say right up front are I had no idea the year that Virginia's house was built, which was 1935, and I didn't know about the pottery studio that will be built in the near future on the grounds of the 577. I also didn't know how very popular pottery classes are here at the 577 Foundation. There's so much to learn. I mean, I've been in town for almost 20 years, been visiting the 577 Foundation for almost as long as I have lived here, and I'm still learning things. I remember one day recently, Heather and I were at a community event and I was asking her what was new and she was talking about the phone of the wind. We didn't even get to talk about that on the podcast today, but it is kind of like a payphone and you can pick it up and you can say something that you would say to someone who is no longer with us and the wind will deliver the message. How amazing is that? She told me about that and I started crying. There are people in my life that I have lost and I have no closure for it. And I think that phone of the wind is one way for me to get closure. I recently lost a pharmacist buddy of mine. His name's Eric. And I think the phone of the wind's going to get a call from Kim to Eric coming up here pretty soon. If you don't have that special thing that you really enjoy doing at the 577 Foundation, stop by sometime. I'm pretty sure you will find one. My son Craig and I really like to visit the Curiosity Shop, and we like to feed the fish. Those are our two favorite things to do. There's so much at the 577 Foundation. Like Heather said, it's an arts and nature education center, but it's kind of like a park. It's kind of like a garden. It's kind of like a library. It's like so many different things. And if you've never tried a class at the 577 Foundation, head over to 577foundation.org and pick out your first class. There are so many classes, and I have tried a number of them, and I've really had a good time every single time. Classes at the 577 Foundation are in a safe space. It's a safe space for people from all different backgrounds to come out and learn together, just participate, focus on learning an activity and enjoying that activity. Nobody's going to focus on our differences. We're all going to be focusing on, for example, crocheting. I tried a crochet class. My mom used to crochet when I was a kid, and I told myself I'll never be as good as my mom. And I still am not, let me just say.
But still, I told myself, why even try? But it was fun, and I did it with my niece, which, if you had told me 10 years ago that I would have been trying crocheting with my niece, I never would have believed you. So if there's something you never thought you'd try it anyways. It can be fun. And I loved what Heather said about welcoming community instructors. Once upon a time, I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to share podcasting with the people of Perrysburg. There are very few in person podcast education classes at the 101 level anywhere in the United States. You often have to just figure it out yourself. The 577 Foundation took a chance on me and they welcomed me as a community instructor. And after a few years, they let me start teaching my second class. So I am a community instructor at the 577 Foundation. So proud to be one. I have met so many wonderful people who are instructors there. And I encourage you, if there's something that you think you have to offer the community, reach out. Try being a community instructor. The 577 Foundation might just need your expertise. Propose your class, and they'll get back to you. Oh, there's so many ways for you to get involved too at the 577 Foundation. I don't want to repeat everything that Heather just said there at the end of the interview, but there are a number of ways for you to get involved. So stop out, explore the grounds, attend a class or event, volunteer, teach, garden, shop, sell your art, read the newsletter, or you could even donate money toward the 577 Foundation. It is a nonprofit organization, and they are going to be raising money for that new pottery studio. And any money that they take in, they reinvest there at the 577 Foundation. It's a great nonprofit organization right here in Perrysburg. I encourage you to support it. And I am not compensated in any way for saying these things. My family supports the 577 Foundation, and we just love the place. So if you love it too, there's ways to support it. I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 142 of the Perrysburg Podcast. I have links to the 577 Foundation's website and social media channels in the show notes today. You can find the show notes on perrysburgpodcast.com. If you know someone who would like today's episode, please share it with them. And if you like this podcast, please come back. We've got a lot more coming up in 2026. Subscribe to or follow the Perrysburg Podcast on your favorite podcast player and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much for listening today. I'll talk to you next week.